Hey YouTube, it's SoulPrime13 with another video. This is sort of a first impressions and a bit of a compare video. This time we're going to be looking at the Leader Class Legacy United Soundwave. This is a reissue of the Netflix cassette Soundwave. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to get this guy at first, but I really wanted the cassettes. I didn't really have the cassettes per se. I did have a laser beak, and I do have the spot from the Target. Hang on, I'll just bring him in here. The Ravage repaint, spot gift card. So I technically have those two molds. I did not have Rumble or Frenzy. I do believe I have the other one on. I think it's either a pre-order or it might be a back order online because I wanted to get both. I do have the Kingdom version of the Z-Red one. I'm not going to try and remember which one is which because it's always a huge debate. But, one is red, one is blue. But yeah, this is the Kingdom one, and this is the one that came with Soundwave himself. So there is that. But overall, he's a solid figure. I find that his legs don't always want to buckle in all the way when I turn him into a cassette player, and I don't really know why that is. Maybe I'm just not using enough force, but I don't want to be too rough with it. But that's not, I don't believe that's exclusive to this specific mold, because I had the same issue on the dramatic capture version, which is where I actually got the laser beak. I had originally bought the dramatic capture specifically for this Soundwave, which was why I was really debating whether or not I wanted to bother getting this one. But I do like Soundwave a fair bit. He is a very interesting character with a very interesting design, even if it does feel pretty outdated these days. But I really like his gimmicks and whatnot, and I usually don't mess with this one too much because he's got all that premium paint job. Like, you can see the difference, like it's shinier, he's got red here where this one doesn't. He's got brighter details, there's a lot more silver. So yeah, I want to keep this one for display more so, and then actually play with this one. But yeah, one of my biggest issues is that they didn't change the hand pieces from the Siege, or I think it was Siege, or for Cybertron one, because they still have these things on them, and for him it actually doesn't let his arms peg together super smoothly. At least I think that's why. So I wish they would have, just shaved all this extra plastic off, and, they didn't have to, completely remold the hand and arm. They just, remove this extra plastic that doesn't really need to be there anymore. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people had issues with this guy not being a cassette player. I love the weird spaceship mode they gave him. I really do like this character and this alt mode. And I even got the Sound Blaster that has a bigger chest compartment, but for some reason, whenever I try and put two cassettes in there, it gets stuck. So I just leave it with the Kingdom Rat Bat that came. These guys came in a 2-pack, so I usually give this to this Soundwave and then leave this with Sound Blaster. But I really like Sound Blaster's edgier color scheme too. So, but yeah, overall, I do like them both. And obviously this one has the major nostalgia factor, and this one is a cool spaceship. But yeah, considering that the history of what's gone on with this particular figure, this version, and how they, didn't really fix up the arms when they could have, how they, for a long time kept him as, very hard to find exclusive, and now they're just kind of putting him out without any real changes. They just gave him, 3 cassettes to bump him up to leader class price. I understand why people are upset. And like this gun, like they all come with this gun that he doesn't really need this. So I feel like this could have been left out. You know, it's probably on the sprue for like the arms and the feet. You know, it's the same, you know, shade of gray, whatever. But I honestly, I kind of just want to like take it off and put them all into a baggie, because the only one I actually really use it on is Sound Blaster. But yeah, I've sort of ended up with a small army of soundwave repeats here, which was not intended. I am going to be getting the next Decepticon dramatic capture. I skipped out on the Autobots one because I already had all 3 figures, and the only one that even remotely interested me was the Prime size comparison, since we're here, because he had the cartoon accurate details, but it wasn't, you know, enough for me to justify buying 3 figures I already, you know, had. Because when I bought this guy, I did not have him, and when I bought this guy, I didn't have the cassettes, so I had a little more incentive. I usually try not to buy the exact same figure more than once, unless it's, you know, not a repaint. What's the word I'm looking for? Unless there's something different, pretty much. You know, it's different with repaints because technically most of the time they are separate characters. Like, you know, the Seekers, pretty much all the same, but you know they are all different colors, different characters. And there are a couple Optimus Prime figures I bought twice. Like, I have 2 of the Revenge of the Fallen Leader class from way back then. I got 2 of the Armada Commander because one I wanted to put a DNA upgrade kit on, which I didn't really love. And, you know, certain examples like that. And then, you know, there are a couple other times I've done that, but I will end up with 2 Blitzwing and 2 Coronation Starscreams because of the next dramatic capture. But those I feel like I can put the you know, dramatic capture, which will definitely have, you know, finer paint jobs on display, and then use the other ones to, you know, mess around with. So it's not the end of the world for me, and I'll finally have that Astro Train, because Astro Train is my favorite triple changer, and I don't have an Astro Train right now. I had the original black and white G1 toy when I was a kid, and you know, obviously as a kid things tend to break. So I want another Astro Train. But yeah, just looking at these guys, whether you decide to get it or not is really a personal choice. By no means do I think the figure is bad, but yeah, if you're only looking for the cassettes, or you know, you already have a previous version, it probably isn't going to be worth it overall. I know there are plenty of people buying them for the cassettes and they're selling off the soundwave. That's really up to you. I always keep my figures. I only get rid of them if they break beyond repair, really. So, and now that I have super glue, that happens a lot less. But yeah, usually if that happens, I'll like glue it back together and put it on display and not touch it anymore. But he's still a good figure. You know, there's a little bit of flaw. His transformation, his alt mode, doesn't quite seem to want to stick together super smoothly. Like I said, when I wrap the legs around, they don't seem to want to lock in perfectly, and his arms sort of, they do that thing where they push together and then push back out against themselves. So he's not perfect, but you know, he's still a solid figure. I'd say he's like a 7. So if you're looking to get this Soundwave, you know, go for it. He's at least worth getting. And the cassettes, you know, I love having all the, you know, different cassettes. So, you know, especially if, you know, you're a fan of Buzzsaw, you know, there's a history with Buzzsaw being, you know, the original cassette companion, but, you know, got replaced by like Laserbeak and all that. But again, it's really gonna be your personal decision. The figure itself, there's no major reason not to get it if you don't have one, but there's probably a good chunk of people who do have one now, because this is technically the third time they've released this toy. But yeah, if you see him and you don't have him, go for it. But other than that, that's really going to be up to your discretion. But overall, I'd say that he's at least worth getting if you want one. So, enough of my rambling. That is our little look at my ever-growing army of sound waves. So, I'll see you guys in the next one.